Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She is somebody that helps college students and their parents all the time navigate the challenging time when it comes to being in college. And I do mean the word time. Time management is what we're going to focus on today. She's somebody that cuts college stress. That's what it's all about. We don't need stress. We need productive students to get it done. And it's a big investment too. So investment in school to make sure it's done right. Dale Troy is with us. Hi, Dale. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. And I know we're going to talk about time management. And I like to say that I'm organized. I got things together. I'm not good at that. The time management thing, it just in life in general, I got to get better at it. But we're going to focus on college students. And why is it so important for a college student, even compared to, let's say, high school? Why is time management so much more important?
Great question. Well, when you think about high school, think about what a student's day is like. It's very structured. Maybe they get in a car or a bus on the way to school, and they're at school and pretty much going from class to class for 6 to 8 hours. They come home, maybe they have an after school activity, they do some homework, they have dinner, they do some more homework, they go to bed. It's pretty much the same every day. There's not a lot to think about. So compare that to a college student who only has one class or two classes or three classes, even maybe no classes on a particular day. They're just not in class very much. So they have a lot of hours that they have to structure themselves. And if they don't structure those hours, they end up really wasting them, not being efficient, not getting done what they need to get done. And that's where they start to go downhill.
So interesting, because many of us would look at it the other way, that you have all this time and that's a beautiful thing. You can get it all done, have some, a little bit of, social time as well. But I guess it's a complete opposite, where you can let that time get away from you because it's so laxed, as opposed to having that high school schedule, rinse and repeat every single day.
Exactly. And unfortunately, college students as freshmen often think of it the way you first described it. Oh, I have so much time. I don't need to start that reading yet. I'll do it later. I'll go watch Netflix. I'll go hang out with my friends. And then they're staying up till 2 and 3 in the morning just to get the basic stuff done.
Yeah. And then sleeping late.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And,
So does this really start in high school?
Yeah. If I had to advise a high school parent, I would, yes, be telling them to probably just even starting high school is a great time to explain the concept of time management to your child and actually have them start using a planner. In fact, I started working with a 9th grade student just this year because his mom was worried. She said, he's so disorganized in middle school. I don't know how he's going to do high school, and I know he needs some better skills. So we're actually using yeah. So I love that. That's the kind of mom I applaud.
And you know what, Dale, I didn't think of that until you said it, that a lot of times it's before the student gets to college where you really need to be proactive and start setting the stage for what's about to come. And what's the offshoot of that? You got a better high school student.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not a lot to plan out, but think about the weekends. They probably don't really have anything other than maybe they're going to go watch a football game or something, or do some activity. But they can take a planner and plan out their entire weekend and when they're going to study and when they're going to see friends and all the rest.
So let's dissect time management. What are the different parts that a college student needs to be mindful of?
Well, in my mind, there are two main parts. One is having what I call a to-do list. What the assignments are, what activities you need to accomplish, whether you need to do your laundry, whether you need to make a phone call home to your grandmother or whatever it is. So I often suggest that students have two lists or divide their list in half with the must do and the could do. So the must do is assignments that have to be turned in, something that is non-negotiable. Whereas the should do or could do are things that if I don't have time, it's okay. I'll do it in another day.
So really the priority list.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And that's kind of a challenge too. What makes the priority list? Because everybody might have a different feel for it, different view of it. Priority might be hanging with my friends, might be lower on the list, but it's a priority.
True. But as you said, if they start thinking along those lines in high school, they'll be more used to the idea. And they'll also realize that, my academics need to be my priority because that is going to affect everything.
So you gave an example of a high school student that had challenges with time management. Any examples of college students?
Well, can we go back to the
Sure.
structure? Yeah, because I want to say that the to-do list, the priority list is one piece. And the second piece is the actual planner. Like I prefer a physical planner where you're actually writing in what you need to do. And what I teach is how to time block. So creating blocks of time for everything that you need to get done. It starts with the classes, but then we add in mealtime, study blocks, activities that they have, exercise, really everything that they can think of, so that they almost have like a roadmap of what they need to do. They don't have to think about it. Like, they have an hour in between class, and they, rather than just kind of wasting it, they have on their planner, go to the library and get something done. So it just makes them much more efficient that way.
On that time management list, not the priority list, but the other one, is there flexibility?
Absolutely.
We might not be in the mood to go to the library is where I'm going.
Yes. And actually, a lot of students will get nervous about that when I first start working with them. Like, I don't know if I can stick to this. But I explained that there's definitely flexibility, but that also means that you have to be flexible with other things. So you don't feel like going to the library in between class, but you need that hour to get something done. You have to move it somewhere else. Maybe I'll do that before dinner, or maybe I'll do it after dinner.
Gotcha. How about before we get to an example and more of this, you, in terms of your time management, what was it like when you were in school? What's it like now?
For me personally?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't, it's funny. I'm trying to think of what I did. I mean, I had more of a calendar rather than like a full-fledged planner the way I do now. So I probably, wasn't as specific with how exactly I was using my time, but I pretty much, if I wasn't in class, I was either with friends or in the library. It was pretty much one or the other. And I always prioritize. I mean, I was a very good student, and so that was always my priority. But now I use the same planner that I use with my students, which has actually 15-minute intervals.
Wow.
So, yeah. I don't necessarily fill in all of that time, but I definitely put in the most important things that I know I need to get done in a day.
Is there a brand of planner that you would suggest?
The planner that I've been using is a very inexpensive one from Amazon. I don't even know I think there may be more than one brand, but the essential piece is that is the time of day. So the time of day is going down the page. The days of the week are going across the page. And you need to be able to see an entire week at a time. So you're not just looking at one day at a time or 2 days. And then the other thing I love about this particular planner that I found is that it has a section on the left that says to do. It's like a to-do list and a goals, so it kind of, if you don't want to have something separate as your to-do list, you can actually use what's in the planner.
I am so glad that you suggest to have a visual planner that's not digital, that you physically write it down, because scientifically proven, Google it, research it, that when you make that connection, when you're physically writing it down, the mind-hand connection almost imprints it in your brain, where you don't get the same thing when you type it. So big benefits of writing it down. Yeah, all right. A little bit more of a pain in the butt if you're not used to it. And I got to be honest, I pick up a pen and have to write stuff down. It's like, oh, wow, I haven't written in a while, but it makes a big difference. It really does.
Yeah. You're right about the research, that the research is very clear. There's no question about it. I mean, of course, I could come upon somebody who refuses to, but so far I haven't. So I've been lucky in that respect. Yeah. And most parents will tell me, my kid will never use a planner. I've tried, they bought 5 different planners, but when they're shown how to use it and they see the benefit in the long run, they adopt it.
I'm a geek and I try to put it down. I can even give you apps. Any.do is one that I've been using for years. And I'll come to a moment where I was like, I'm going to put it down. I'm going to start planning it out. It's going to be right there. I forget to even look at it. The only thing that works for me, everybody's different, but again, it's a visual and you write it down. Either I have post-it notes as like immediate reminders. You got to take care of it. Even I'll leave for the day. It's like, that's right on the computer screen, on the monitor screen. That's got to get done first thing tomorrow. Like, hit me in the face with it. Yeah, sure. A pop-up. Yeah, that'd be fine. But I love it in front of me. I love writing it down. It just makes and I think it's not that world. I think it's more of that impression that it makes on your mind.
Yeah, I agree. And, in terms of like not looking at it, that can be a problem. So that's another piece of training somebody to use it, is that, they're carrying it with them. They're looking at it every day, in between classes. So they're actually really using it.
So how about, do you have any examples of time management with college students that you've worked with? Things have changed for them?
Yes, pretty much every student that I work with will come to me with time management issues, because it's a skill that you have to learn. It's not something that you're just naturally born with, right? So one student I worked with was a sophomore in college. He had a very poor freshman year. And a lot of it, I think, was that he didn't write down anything. He just thought he was going to remember, when things were due and, what he needed to do. And because of that, he would miss deadlines, hand in things late, sometimes not even show up to an appointment that he had made with a teacher. It was apparently a disaster, which makes sense to me. So I sent him this specific planner that I use. And I started teaching him how to do the time blocking. And he really liked it. I mean, it just made him feel more in control of his day. He figured out like that if he got up early, he could go run, because he wasn't doing any exercise. We talked about how much sleep he was getting, and he realized that, not paying attention to what time he was going to sleep was making him not get enough sleep. So everything kind of related back to how he was using his time. And his grades improved, and he actually was able to transfer to a school that he had wanted to go to. So he's
Wow.
now there. Yeah.
What happens, Dale, when you've got your planner, you're trying to get things scheduled out, you don't feel like doing that, or you don't feel like doing this? What do you do in those situations?
Well, we're all human. So I would say if a student said that to me, I would say, okay, give yourself some slack for that day. It's not a disaster. Just make sure you get what you absolutely need to get done. And if you don't feel like doing, like if you don't feel like going to exercise or you don't feel like going to your club activity, and it's okay. Maybe you're just tired, maybe you need some extra sleep. So I give them the benefit of the doubt and just hope that the following day they can get back on track.
I guess that's in my mind the biggest challenge, because I know, like, people say to me, "Why do you ever slow down? You're always going. You're always going." Because I know if I slow down, I'm not going to do anything. And wow, I could go 2 days. I'm just going to kind of be lax, but I want to be productive. I want to do stuff. I think that's a challenge too, especially for a college student, because it's so easy to flip on Netflix or whatever, and not get back, re-engage in that. Any advice there, so you don't get into that habit?
Yeah, I think one thing that just came to mind is that a lot depends on who you're hanging out with. So if you're hanging out with other people who are like getting stuff done and productive and excited about what they're doing, you're more likely to get into that mode. But if you're hanging out with people who just would rather be partying every night and they're missing classes, then you're going to end up doing that. So who you choose to be friends with makes a huge difference also.
1,000,000,000%. And there's a quote that has been around for quite some time, that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So kind of makes you think, pick 5 people that you hang with mostly. And who are these people? And do you see a common thread in terms of who you are? And maybe there's 2 or 3 of them that really don't really serve you, but they're in your life. Maybe it's time to make a little adjustment there.
Yeah. And I think college students do that. I mean, especially freshmen, when they first get there, they want to be friends with anyone because they don't want to be lonely. But over time, they figure out who really makes sense for them. So if you know what your goals are in college and you want to, get whatever you want to get out of it, you need to find other people that are on the same wavelength.
Any other last thoughts on time management?
I would say just that it is a skill. It's not, so if you think your child is terrible at it, don't think that there's something wrong with them. It's just that they haven't been taught it and that they can learn it. And I think it's super important to really start in high school.
I'm happy you said that, because a lot of times a parent may look at their kid and say, "It's just lazy. You're lazy." But maybe it's not that. The student doesn't know where to focus their time. And a lot of times it gets overwhelming. I know I got to do this. I know I got to do that, but I'm not sure how to do it or when to do it. So then you just pull back and don't do anything. And then you appear to be lazy, but you may be somebody that wants to achieve and move forward.
Right. And sometimes it's just hard to get started, and if you can help your child start on something small, then it kind of rolls into finishing a project. But starting is sometimes scary, and they're afraid that they're not going to do a good job. And so they just would rather not even start. So there are a lot of issues involved, but basically just knowing that it's a skill, everyone can learn it. They just need some help.
Let's look at, we talk about high school students and time management being important there too. But if you're a parent looking at your student thinking, you know what, I'm going to look at Dale to start grooming them, getting them ready, coaching them for college. What are some of the things that you can offer to help a high school student?
Well, certainly I always start with time management. And then I also would be talking about all of their self-care habits, the exercise, what they're eating, how much sleep they're getting, if they're drinking enough water, all of that. Probably also some stress reducing habits that they probably don't have, because school does become more stressful in high school, and it it gets harder. And I can't think of that word.
Ratchets?
Ratchets.
Yeah, it's just ratchet up. And when you have a ratchet, and it just, now you're putting tension on it. Now it's getting tighter. There's more, a lot more emphasis on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it becomes more difficult in college. So definitely lots of stress help with stress and how they talk to themselves, having a positive mindset, things like that. And then probably there could be a social piece. Maybe your child has social anxiety, and we talk about, how to make friends and how to talk to people and things along those lines.
You bring to light a lot of important things that high school students deal with. And if you don't deal with them when you're younger, you take that all into college. And now you've got all different pressure on you. Social anxiety, of course, like you say, being one of them, the mindset of studying, how to get it done. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I didn't honestly, I didn't realize the importance of having somebody like you at a high school level, but it's all about the preparing for the future.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you see so many kids who don't do well when they get to college, I realize that it's just that they're not prepared for it.
Final question here. You talk about social anxiety. Big thing, especially for today's teens. The mental health crisis. This is the CDC saying that it is a crisis, especially teenage girls right now. How can you help with that?
Well, it's a big question. I would say, first of all, spending less time on social media is a big help.
Agreed.
And just getting your kids to put away their phones. Don't have them at the dinner table. Put them away hours before they go to sleep. So that's really a huge distraction, and especially for girls.
Sure.
And then, kind of trying to teach your kids that what matters is they matter more than whatever else is going on outside of them. Their goals, their values, our family, what our family believes in. And, the other stuff is just kind of, it's changing. It's not permanent. What's permanent is you inside and what you believe and what you want out of your life.
If you could go back to your younger self, let's say high school or even junior high, what you're looking at yourself right now, adult to that age, and you're going to give advice to yourself younger, what would it be?
Put less pressure on myself. I put so much pressure on myself. I think it had an effect on my physical health. There was definitely much less talk in those days about mental health. So it was affecting that as well. But I definitely had a lot of physical stomach kind of issues all the time.
And then, you think that's probably came from stress and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha. Totally. And you're right, Dale. Saying those two words, mental health, back, when we were younger, it was just like, whoa, somebody's got a challenge, got a problem. No, I'm grateful it's all changed now, but we went through those challenges where you didn't talk about those things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And to your point there, if I looked at myself when I was younger, it would be, and I even tell my daughter's 15. I tell her now, it's like, don't worry about what people think. Don't. Boy, I wish I could have, I wish I heard that in my head, way back when, because it would have been a game changer. But you don't know until you know. But that's why you're here to help navigate students, whether it's in high school or college through. How do we find you? How do we connect with you? See if you're a right fit for obviously it's the parent reaching out, the right fit for their kid.
Sure. My website is crushcollegestress.com. My email is my name, Dale Troy at crushcollegestress.com. And I also have a calendar link that anyone is free to.
Of course you do.
If you want to talk to me, it's very easy. It's talkwithdale.com.
Beautiful. And that calendar is approved for digital use. You can type on that one. The rest of them you have to write in physically.
Oh, that's absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Dale, always great having you on. Learn so much. And what a great service that you offer. And every time we get together, I learn more and more how valuable it is. And now today, even for high school students, didn't even see it that way. But wow. Yeah. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was great being with you.
You too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.